So hello guys, this is Ashmi and I'll be taking up the session from here on. So Nina, it was an amazing session over here. Like the questions you put on were like really intellectual, and being from a literature side, these questions are really going to help me like in my like further studies and everything else as well. It was
Thank you
amazing.
so much.
Yeah, and it
We
was
have so much more to discuss, but unfortunately, maybe next session again, we'll
yeah,
carry on from where we left. Thank you,
definitely.
Ashmeet.
Yeah, you're welcome. So now, like, we'll be moving to our next session where Devi D will be in conversation with Dr. Manjiri Prabhu, where they will be discussing about a unique path to spiritual awakening and enlightening through her love for her dogs and through her new book. So, like, for the people who didn't join us earlier, Devi D is a creative writer and marketer based in Delhi. She writes short stories, poems, and quotes. Recently, one of her short stories, Animals and the Third World War, was published in a book pertaining to reuse and climate change. So, over to you, Devi.
Thank you so much, Ashmeet. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. A warm good evening, everybody. I cordially welcome you all to this conversation with the renowned author, Dr. Manjari Prabhu. From the Phoenix Literature Festival, let's give her a warm round of applause. Let's welcome her. Let's give her a big round of applause. If I have to talk about Dr. Manjari Prabhu, she has several laurels. She has won several laurels, and let me just tell you all, she holds a doctorate in communication science, and she's an independent filmmaker for television, a writer, novelist in English, and she's also a founder of two literature festivals. So she's directed over 200 children's TV programs, more than 50 short fiction and travel films, and has authored 15 books. Her unpublished psychological thriller novel was adapted into a Hindi feature film by NFDC that is titled Kuch Dil Ne Kaha, and her thesis converted into a book titled Roles, Real and Real, has become a rare reference book for students of Hindi cinema. Prabhu has also been acknowledged as the pioneer in India among women writers of mystery fiction, and that's one of my favorite genre. And she is labeled as Indian Agatha Christie, and much recently, she's also been acknowledged as a match for Dan Brown by Dr. Shashi Tharoor. And she's also been invited to reputed international literature festivals like the Agatha Christie Festival, UK, and International Women Fiction Writers Mantara, Italy. And her novels, The Cosmic Clues, was selected as a killer book by independent mystery booksellers of America, and the Astra Alibi was honored as a notable book in the Kiriyama Prize. So her books have been published by various well-renowned publishers like Penguin, Bloomsbury, Random House, and so on. So recently, she also founded the International Festival of Spiritual India for Humanity and Wisdom, and she has been awarded with the Inspirational Women of Maharashtra, Excellence in the Field of Writing in the year 2017, and Most Admired Leader of Maharashtra by ERTC Global Herald. And she's also been awarded the Rex Karamveer Gold Medal Award in 2016. And most importantly, she's also an animal welfare activist promoting caring and adoption of stray dogs. So the subject matter of dogs or caring for dogs, that is the crux in her next book, that is the recently released book, The Doctrine of Peace. So in this book, Dr. Manjari Prabhu tells how caring for dogs will bring out the empathy in us, the compassion in us, that itself can lead to a spiritual awakening path. So I went through the book, I went through a lot of her interviews that was collated in it, and it's a very good read, and it will invoke that humanness in us. Even if you are not a dog lover, you will get to know what dogs can do to your life, what difference dogs can make to your life. Being a dog lover myself and having dogs, I could very well relate with so many incidents in the book, and it's an absolute pleasure having Dr. Manjari Prabhu here. And let's hear it from her, what her experience has been writing the book. Once again, welcome to the Phoenix Festival, ma'am. Thanks for gracing the occasion. Let me start off by asking you the question. What was the major inspiration behind penning down the book? Ma'am, I guess you are on mute.
Yes, yes. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
You're
Yeah.
audible.
So thank you for this awesome introduction. I'm really flattered. And thank you, Phoenix, for inviting me. The book just got released. This is the book, The Doctrine of Peace. Okay. And as you can see, it's actually Doctrine of Peace instead of Doctrine of Peace. And
Yes.
it's a liberty I've taken with this because the philosophy I'm introducing is really very new. So what inspired me? Of course, dogs inspired me. And what went into writing this book, I think half my life has gone into writing this book. Very simply, like you said, caring for dogs can lead to spiritual awakening. And how can that happen? It's a process. I've given 9 sutras at the end of the book on how to do it. But what is important is that you have to start somewhere. You know, this whole world, we're all connected. I've said it in the book too. We're all connected, to this universe, to environment, to nature. And dogs are a very important part of nature. Over the years, I think they've been our oldest domesticated companions. Like, for example, more than 15,000 years. But all we've done is taken them for granted. You know, we just look at them as nuisance. They're on the streets. They're barking at people, they're chasing vehicles, and we just look at them as, that's something that we don't need in our lives. But it's exactly opposite what the universe has really planned. Dogs are meant to be in our lives now and forever, and there is a lot of logic in it. If you read the book, you'll understand what I'm trying to say. But dogs are the first connect to nature in our lives, because they enter. So are cats in a way, but cats are independent animals and dogs are completely dependent on us. So we have to realize that our connect to nature, our awakening, the process of awakening and our awakening of our consciousness begins with dogs. And that's what this book is all about.
Yes. Very, very good to know that, ma'am. So I've seen that you've written most of the books are like mystery thriller books, and how easy or difficult it was like shifting to non-fiction for a while for a change and coming out with this book.
Well, so I've written one non-fiction before, which is based on my thesis, but it was already written. Okay. How different or difficult was it? It was different and difficult, but at the same time, very satisfying. So when I write my fiction, they're all based on a lot of research. For example, I write my destination thrillers, or I have, a detective who solves cases with the help of astrology or whatever. So every book of mine, has a lot of research involved in it. In fact, I take six months only to research. So writing my fiction is also a difficult process for me. And it also involves a lot of non-fiction in it. For example, my destination thrillers have some element of history, which are woven into a contemporary plot. So I need to know the history. So although it's not a historical fiction, the history is a part of the contemporary plot. So this whole, gelling of past and present requires a lot of research in it. So for this book, of course, I had to leave the fiction part out, but the reality itself in the book, like, I don't know how many bits you actually read or could manage to read because you got the book late, I know that. But there are stories in this and experiences which are so real, but so surreal. Stories which are almost unbelievable. And, one would say, this can't have happened, but it has happened. So in that sense, that little, how should I say, the enthralling, mystical element is there in this book too. So that kind of gave me satisfaction. But that's the only thing I think was completely non-fiction. With surreal non-fiction. So that was the only difference. But I think the process for both is really quite the same. Lots of research.
Right. Like you just mentioned that it took 6 months to just do the research. So the entire process of writing, editing, publish, like how much time did you take to come out with the book in the entirety? From research, yes.
This book is not 6 months. I'm talking about my fiction. This book I began writing in 2007. Okay, it is 2021 now. So imagine how many years of research has gone into it. And I could have gone on writing this book because, you know, you meet people with varied experiences with dogs. I could write another 3-4 books at least with the kind of data I have, but I had to stop somewhere. And that is why I wrote the book. But it has the whole process, the actual publication process took about, you know, maybe 6-7 months. But the book has been written for many, many years.
That shows the amount of dedication you have on the subject, and that's really visible in the words that are written there, ma'am. So
yeah, actually,
sure, ma'am. Go on.
No, I was just saying that it is dedication, and it is also my belief in this philosophy.
Yes,
you know, I believe that this can happen. I believe that dogs can lead to peace. I believe that dogs can help you on your path of spirituality and enlightenment. I believe in it. That's the reason why I spent so much time in it.
Right. Well, you said it was satisfying, but at some point it would have been challenging as well. So what's the most challenging aspect of coming out with this book?
Yeah, so you see, I'm not a typical spiritual guru. Okay. And there are many advanced and senior spiritual thinkers and gurus in our country, and they all have their own path to spirituality. Now, here I was, a mystery author with a lot of background in dogs and my experiences with dogs and whatever my lessons from dogs, and I wanted to project a theory. Now, that theory could not have just been, hey, love dogs and you'll find spirituality. I had to prove, you know, that this theory is going to lead you to where I'm saying it's going to lead you. And I think that was where my challenge really was. Because I wanted to present this subject in a 360-degree angle. So if the scientific angle, the emotional angle, the metaphysical angle, the love angle, there's so many angles to it. And I had to prove that no matter which angle you pick, this theory works. And for me, that was the real challenge. And which is why I have people talking about, the doctrine. Not everyone, agrees. Not everyone loves dogs. And anyway, this book is not only for dog lovers, it's for humanity. It's for all humans. But the point is that I needed people with their experiences, with their theories, even their different spiritual backgrounds, to understand what the doctrine of peace is and how it can work. And I think for me, that was a real challenge, giving it the 360-degree angle in a very convincing manner.
That brings me to the next question. That is, you talk about the ninefold doctrine of peace. It's a ninefold path. So I wanted to know, how can a beginner who is not aware of dogs, who is not interacted with dogs, can he or she practice it and put it into practice? Or a person who is totally indifferent to dogs, who don't hate dogs, can they also practice it and see the result, ma'am?
Absolutely. So at the beginning of the book, I have divided the world into two parts. Okay. I think if you've read that bit, you'll understand that the world for me is divided into people who like animals and people who don't like animals. And even in that division, there are people who like animals actively and people who like animals passively. And in the other half, people who like and do not like animals passively or actively. Now, the journey in the doctrine of peace is from liking animals actively to not liking animals actively to liking them actively. That is the journey. So when you say that if there's a person who doesn't like dogs at all, will this doctrine work for him? Yes, this doctrine is for him. And the ninefold path just tells you how you can open up to the one species, dogs, who can be your best friend, your best philosopher, your best guide. And so that's what the ninefold sutras are for. I mean, they would help any person, whether you like animals or not, to start walking on this path.
So I would request all the viewers here, do catch out these ninefold path, and probably you have interacted with dogs. Maybe you're not comfortable. Maybe reading this sutras can really help you to interact with dogs. So you should try out these 9 sutras. So now I want to take one incident from the book. You mentioned about how you had recently shifted to an apartment. You started feeding the stray dogs, and then your neighbor got offended, started telling things about you. So I experienced a similar thing when I started feeding dogs here in Delhi, and the neighbor said, don't give it biscuit. They will just spoil the surroundings. So then I stopped that. So these people, it's very difficult to change their mindset. And one side, we don't want to get into arguments with them. Like, what do you suggest dealing with them? Should we go and make them understand, or just remain as it is? Just leave it as it is.
Okay, so an animal lover's journey never ends. Okay, his work never ends. You know, you have to keep at it, because people are people. Okay, they're not going to change. No one's going to change overnight. Tomorrow, you know, if I give you the Doctrine of Peace, which is why I wrote the book, of course, because I was so tired of speaking the same whole thing to people, saying love dogs, don't hit stones, give them. I was tired of speaking, so I wrote a book. You know, but the point is that people are going to be people. They have their own rigid lifestyles. They have their own backgrounds, the way they're brought up. And most human beings are taught to fear animals, to fear dogs especially. So the moment somebody is walking on the road and you see a dog, their instinctive action is to pick up a stone and hit it. Why? Because they fear that the dog is going to come and bite them. So these fear, and you have to tackle this fear. And this is what the book does. This is what all of us who love animals, who understand the role of dogs in our lives, are supposed to be doing. Keep talking, keep explaining. We can't get tired. It's a one-man show in one area, but you have to keep doing it. And at some point, I'm sure there's another example in my book too, where I've showed how attitudinal change happens. And it is possible, but you have to keep going at it. You cannot get tired, because you are the voice of the voiceless. And it's your duty to keep going on as a human being to help your canine friend.
That's point very well taken, ma'am. So as ma'am mentioned, one should keep striving hard. Maybe at some point of time, people will understand and people will change. And that is the need of the hour. We need more people, environment lovers, to come forward and vouch for the right of the animals. Very, very well told, ma'am.
Absolutely.
Yeah. My next question is, ma'am, like when your first dog came to your life, like what was the change that you saw in your life? Something which you had not experienced before. Like I read some dogs like Fantush. We were very close to the dog, and when he passed away, there's a pall of gloom in the house. Like what major change happened in your personality when the first dog came in your house?
Well, I've said it in the book too. I feel that there are two Manjiris. One before a dog came into her life, and one after it. It's a total transformation. I just did not understand dogs. We had a dog when I was growing up called Rocky. Was a beautiful golden Alsatian. And when he passed away, I cried and cried and cried. But it was only because he was a companion passed away. The value of the dog, you know, is something I really started understanding in college days, and how completely they can change your life. And how did it change? I do believe that I'm incomplete without dogs. I mean, that's all I can say, that I feel that I'm living, breathing to pass this message on, that they're an important part of our lives. And this change happened. I wasn't like that all my life, obviously. You know, you normal college going person, you know, drop somebody a biscuit and that's it, and not get involved in fights if somebody is, you know, hurting a dog. But this whole thing, it made me a completely sensitive person. I began to see pain in a different way, loss in a different way, love in a different way. You change, your perception of life completely changes. You value life. You value human beings. You value your family, everything. Gratitude fills your heart. So you become a completely different person when there are dogs in your life.
Yes. Very, very well put, ma'am. So dogs are nothing but stress busters in our life. That will make you surroundings more peaceful, that keeps you more happy. So do you vouch for the fact that we should become more pet friendly by allowing, you know, public transport should be open to the dogs? We should be allowed, like how it happens in foreign. People here, government here also should allow us to carry dogs in the public transport, or even the offices should become more pet friendly. I've seen very few.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There is no doubt. Dogs, especially pet dogs, obviously, because you've taken in a dog into your house. He's a family member now. And he has to be, if you can't go somewhere without the dog, or if you can't go to a hotel without your dog, or you can't take a holiday without your dog, it's completely, for me, undoable. How should I say? Unacceptable. Dogs are a part of your life. For example, if I'm a single mother, I'm just giving an example, and I have a child at home, you know, no one to look after that. I will be allowed to take the child to office, till I can find daycare for it or whatever. It's the same thing with the dog. There's nobody at home to take care of the dog. Why can you not take the dog to office or to the hotel or to wherever you have to? So the government and people and society have to understand that pet dogs are family. They are not just, canines to be tied in the gardens or as showpieces or status symbols. They are family, and family, stays together, goes together, lives together, eats together.
Yes, that's very well put, ma'am. Even I hope someday the government looks into that fact and we can openly carry our dog around, even to our workplaces, we can carry them around, ma'am.
Yeah, so that is a part of a government or of a society which is awakened.
Yes.
And which is exactly what the doctrine is about, awaken your sensibilities and start looking around you and see what is important. They are important part of your life, and the government, which is people, of course, have to wake up to the fact that dogs have to be accepted as a part of a family.
Yes. That brings me to my next question. One chapter solely you spoke about opening up the divine chamber of one's heart. So dogs help us to open the divine chamber of our heart. So for the benefit of the audience, can you just elaborate more on what is the divine chamber and how exactly does this happen?
Okay, so now that's a part of the book which I want people to read. But since you've talked about it, let me give you a very brief clarity on that. So I believe that there is a divine chamber in each one of us. Okay. Most of the time, say 80%, I don't know exact percentage, but 80% of the time, the divine chamber is shut. But however, that divine chamber is open in animal lovers. And that is why you see so many people, especially during the pandemic, if you notice, so many people stepped out into the streets. Hundreds of people all over India stepped out to feed the dogs because the shops were shut and they would die of hunger. So for these people, I believe that the divine chamber is already open, which means it has a direct connect to the divine. What about the rest of the people? They do have the divine chamber. It's not as if they don't. Yeah. So what can be done to open that divine chamber, which will, give you peace and compassion and a flowing love flowing from one heart to the other? How can you open the divine chamber? You can open it through dogs. And this I'm saying through my own experience. My divine, you asked me, how did it change me having a dog in my life? My divine chamber, which was probably shut till a dog came into my life, opened. And when it opens, let me tell you that it's not a simple thing. It opens like the floodgates have opened. Love just flows out of you. And it flows out of you from your family to the streets, to the street dogs, to every person around you. So that divine chamber is a straight connect and takes you straight on your spiritual journey. And that is what I'm talking about. Details are all in the book. You should know how to open the divine chamber, but this is very brief put. But yes, that's how it works.
Yes, very, very well put, ma'am. So my next question is, for children, especially when you're dealing with children, how can we inculcate that animal loving nature in children from a young age? Because it's usually the adults, seeing the adults that children grow. How do we, from the young age, make sure that children are happy being with pets? How do we inculcate that habit in children?
Well, to inculcate that habit, you need to first inculcate that habit. I mean, in children, you have to inculcate that habit in their parents. Because it's the parents who are so fearful that if they keep a child with a dog, the dog is going to harm him. But science and studies show that when a child grows up with dogs, it helps them infinitely. For example, they can excel in studies, they become more sociable, they become more intelligent. I mean, all these studies have been shown, that children definitely benefit from dogs. And this is what first parents have to understand. Now, as far as the process goes, well, you don't immediately have to bring a dog into your house, but you can, get the child to feed the dog in your colony. Slowly introduce the child to the dog. Let the child feed the dog. Slowly let him pat it. Normally children are not fearful of dogs. Let me tell you that. It's the parents who instill the fear. So stop instilling that fear. They say, wo kaatega. It's a very, very common thing that you see all around, They have to stop this because nahi kaatta hai. Kaatne wala kutta rukega nahi, wo aake kaatega hi. If there are dogs around you, if there's a biting dog, he's not going to wait for you to find out bite karega ki nahi. These are all friendly dogs. These are all super friendly dogs in the community. If you feed them, they're going to be best friends and they're going to be your best watchdogs. So children need to be start this association with the dogs. Slowly, gradually, if there's any fear, that fear will go away, and sense of responsibility of taking care for the dog, caring for him. All the dog's traits, like a dog loves unconditionally, or they can forgive human beings for anything that they do. So all these traits, brush onto the child. They understand the value of life. So it's up to the parents to do this.
Yes, very well put, ma'am. My next question is, till today, the most easiest way to get enlightened, people see religion as one of the easiest way to get enlightenment. In one of the chapters of your book, you show how a pandit is double-faced. Like, he does the puja, but on the other side, he's very inhuman. His wife is very inhuman, kicks the dog out. So now, has the time come for us to promote real spirituality and enlightenment in the form of good behavior? It's time we call out all these fake pandits and fake religions. So what is your take? Yes,
absolutely. I think I believe in only one religion, and that is humanity. That is, I don't believe, that's the reason why I have divided the world into humane and non-humane. That's all. That is religion. Our religion has to be kind to people, have to love people, have to feed the hungry. That is our religion. Praying to God. See, dog, D-O-G, the world knows that D-O-G, when you invert it, it is G-O-D. So you're actually, serving God itself. And even if you don't believe that's God, but you're still serving a helpless animal. So you're going beyond your line of duty to help someone, and that is religion. Now, religion and spirituality are two different things. This couple I was talking about were, of course, very dogmatic and were practicing, their rituals and going to houses to do pujas. And the moment they saw a dog climbing up the stairs, they used to kick the dog. Now, understanding the difference between practicing what you're actually preaching was completely lacking in them. So religion can have spirituality in it, but spirituality need not have religion in it. So I think we should all aspire to be kind, compassionate, spiritual people, so that we can help others, because it's a snowballing effect. It begins with us. If we are kind, compassionate, our neighbor is going to be kind, compassionate, and so on and so forth. And this whole cycle is going to one day be, we'll all be a beautiful, peaceful world if only we begin with ourselves. And to really get ourselves to be spiritual, we start with an animal which is spiritual, a spiritual spirit, which is the dog. And yes, so definitely, as far as religion is concerned, I think everyone is free to practice their own religion because they believe in it. But there's something beyond religion, which is humanity. And I think we need to practice that.
Yeah, that's a very well told point, ma'am. Humanity is the greatest religion. But unless you practice that, you don't become a complete human being.
You don't become religious or spiritual.
Spiritual, yes.
Very simple.
Yes. So my next question is, ma'am, like, we get so attached to our dogs. We care for them 24/7. Obviously, we get attached to them. But when the dog passes away, the grief is very hard to take. How did you overcome that grief? How do you get over that grief, ma'am? Because my dog is getting aged. I really worry for him sometimes.
Yeah, it's a very difficult phase in our lives. Yeah. Very difficult phase, and there is a scientific reason why this pain of loss is worse with a pet even than with a human being. Because even scientists have proved that when you lose a pet, the pain is so intense that it's really can't be compared to when you lose a human being. And that is why when you say that you're fearing it, okay, I've gone through that fear hundreds of times. I've lost many dogs, and I've looked at it as an inevitable reality. I know that this phase is going to come. But having said that, I also looked at what would have happened if I had not loved that dog till that stage. I feel that he's lived all those 12, 13, 15 years, at least in peace and comfort. Otherwise, he wouldn't even have lasted for those many years. So I take comfort in the fact that I've done my duty, that I've given my love. As far as how to bear with the loss, there is no easy answer. Okay, you have to bear it. You have to you just have to bear it. And one day the pain can dull. It's never going to go away, unfortunately, because you're going to miss your dog. They live for a very short period of, in their lives. And they give you so much. They give you so much that it lasts a lifetime. So you have to understand that they have to move on. to better births, if you believe in different births, or to better things that they have to do, but they've left with you, like they say, paw prints on your heart, okay? And they've touched your heart in different ways. They've made you better people, and you have to be happy in that.
Yes, that's rightly said. Eventually we'll get used to, though it won't be completely good.
No, more than you used to, you accept it. You accept that this is inevitable, that you can't do much about it. You have to take it as a part of life. And it's better to have loved than not loved at all. I always say that for dogs.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Thanks for that input. Now coming to my next question. So there's also a chapter which mentions how your brain cells are activated once you start loving the dog, how you release positive hormones like oxytocin, endomorphins, and how loving a dog can have a lot of health benefits to you.
Yes.
So can you tell more about this aspects on health benefits of owning a dog?
But so it's been like all the facts are there in the book. You know, if you have a dog in your life, you're going to be healthier than you would be without a dog. Okay, and that's the best part of having a dog, because they've said, and research has said, that even if you've had a heart attack, even the chances of recovery are better if you have a dog in your life. Okay, dogs make you happier. Okay, completely. They have this, they release a hormone called oxytocin, which is the happiness hormone. And you feel that hormone only when a mother feels for a child. That is the level of intensity of that hormone which you feel experience with a dog. So you get the feeling of motherhood and fatherhood when you have a dog in your life. You feel a sense of belonging, and you feel a sense of security and of being loved and wanted. And all these benefits help you in being calm and present in the present moment, and mindful and healthy. And of course, like I already told you, the children benefit from it, in their studies and all. So dogs have innumerable benefits, health, they can offer you innumerable health benefits. You just have to be in their company. If you're stressed, if your blood pressure is high, you just sit with the dog and pat the dog for 5 minutes. You're going to feel, that pressure going off out of you. So there are so many ways, you can benefit from a dog.
And also dogs do understand our emotions. If whenever we are happy, whenever you're sad, they can sense it and they'll be there by your side.
Yes, it is. They take on all your emotions. So if you're sad, they just come and sit beside you. If you're happy, they're also happy and bubbly. So the reason why the spiritual connect is there is because your emotions are so connected. So you take the best from your dog and the dog takes the best from you. And that's why it's a journey, which I say, that is there together for us. It's a spiritual journey on which you go together.
Yes. Now my question is regarding cats and dogs. Usually I've heard people say that cats are easy to maintain. You don't have to look after. She just goes out and she comes back, and maintenance is less. But comparatively, dog is not easy to maintain. But I feel dogs are more affectionate, like you mentioned in the beginning, as compared to cat. Cat, even if you are not cuddling with it or not giving too much affection, so it doesn't matter. But what is your take on it, ma'am? Like when you compare dogs and cats?
Okay, so I think cats are also very affectionate. Okay, I'm sure all the cat lovers will agree with me, because the way they come to you, purring and sitting on your, coming in almost sitting on your chest. I have cats and dogs too in our family, so I know that. But yes, cats are independent. You don't have to, take them for walks like you take a dog for a walk. So they are low maintenance in terms of actual interactions with them. Okay, when they want you, they will come to you. When they feel, that cats have healing qualities. Okay, so when they feel you need some healing, they'll come and sit on you. They have Reiki qualities in them. So they are beautiful animals, and that's not a thing at all. But dogs have this very special connect where even if you just look into their eyes, you can feel the bond with them. And dogs have to be taken for a walk. They're like little children who never grew up. So yes, certainly having a cat and a dog are two separate things. You need to be a cat person or a dog person or both. So yeah, I think what gives more satisfaction is completely whether you're a dog person or a cat person. But cats are certainly more independent than dogs, for sure.
And also when we talk about both street dogs as well as the other international breeds, I guess you have had experience of even looking after a street dog as well as the other breeds. So what I have normally observed is the street dogs, they're more street smart, I can say. They learn the tricks quickly. They are more, ferocious. So how has been your experience working with both these street dogs as well as the other foreign breeds?
So foreign breeds, I mean, I think we all have to understand this, that foreign breeds are not really suitable for our Indian climate. You find street dogs more capable and more independent and more active because they are born and bred in our, they're born in our climate. They're indie dogs, they're Indian dogs. So they can easily adapt to our climate. Whereas these foreign breeds, who are mostly kind of hybrid, constructed breeds, they find it very difficult to adjust. For example, Dachshunds are, they have a problem with their nose. They can't smell properly, so they struggle to breathe. So you find them, sorry, not Dachshunds, I'm talking about the other one, the video Vodafone dog.
The pug.
The pug, I'm sorry.
Okay, yes,
Pugs.
yes.
Pugs can't breathe. And sorry, Dachshunds have a back problem. That's why they're long and, so all these are concocted varieties, cross breeds and crossbreeding because there's demand. But honestly, they're not at all suitable for our Indian climate, and they're only brought as status symbols. And of course, you can love them. I'm not saying that you don't love them when you bring them in, but they're not really suitable for our climate. So working with them, of course, dogs are dogs, whether you bring a pedigree dog or an indie dog, the love they will give you is the same. So there is no distinction in that. It's how they adjust to the climatic conditions of our country is what really matters.
Yes. That's a very valid point, ma'am. It's how they really adjust to our climatic condition that matters a lot in the long run.
For example, Saint Bernards. You see, a lot of people bring in Saint Bernards who are big, hairy dogs. They are not at all suited for our climate. This climate is very hot for them, so they need to be put in AC rooms. It's just the whole equation doesn't fit. So why not give homes to our indie dogs? Sorry.
Yes. The same goes with husky as well, right, ma'am? The husky.
Yes. So all these are just, you bring them as showpieces, and they don't live happily, and even you have cage them in a room, and it's all a big mess. Yeah.
Yes, so that brings me to another valid question, that we see that a lot of pets being kept in apartments, high-rise apartments where they don't have much space to wander about. So do you agree that we should keep pets in cramped apartments, or don't have pets unless you have a spacious place for them to run around or play around?
Well, ideal conditions do suggest, you should have ideal conditions for dogs where there's a kind of a garden or the space for them to run and all that. But having said that, it doesn't mean that you can't have a dog at all, even if you have a small apartment, because you can take the dog out for a walk. You have to do these other duties. You take them to a garden, you take the dog around with you, so that he has ample space for exercise. You have to do these other things. So I won't say that, small apartments should not have dogs, because space is just one angle of it. There is also that the dog needs love. You need to rescue dogs and give them a home. So that angle is there. So if you ask me, small apartment or rescue, I would say rescue, no matter what.
Rescue. Yes. That's very, very well told, ma'am. So focus on rescuing the dogs. Once the dog
gets giving him a life. Yes, giving a dog a life, no matter where you are, as long as you don't neglect and, like I said, take care of him in a good way. Space becomes a secondary matter, I would say.
Also, very interesting fact I learned from the book was you talked about some visions that you had after Fantush died. You could see a vision of the dog coming back. That you had buried the dog, and again then he looked like he had come back. So can you tell more about these experiences? Do all dog lovers or dog owners get these visions? How I'm so interested to know more about this visions that happen.
So it's a story in the book. I cannot reveal my my chapters, but yes, these visions can happen, and there are not just a Fantush story, there are other stories also in the book. For example, I'll give you the other story where, when I lost my dog, Tuggy, and, I was really, really very, very devastated. She had been my muse for many years. I wrote 10 books with her sitting at my feet, So when I lost her, I was totally devastated. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't write. I couldn't do anything. So 1 month down the line, I just told her, I said, Tuggy, I don't know what I don't know if whether what I did by you was right or wrong. Please tell me that you're happy wherever you are. Give me a sign, I told her. So normally, the last 2-3 months, Tuggy and I, because she was unwell, I used to sleep on the floor with her with a pillow, and her head used to rest on my side. And then for 1 month, I didn't change my position. I just did the same thing, feeling her around me. And when I gave her this message saying, Tuggy, please give me a sign that, you're happy and that you're well now. And I just slept that night. And the next morning, there was a clump of her hair in the exact spot where she used to keep her head beside my head. So, there are such, and nobody's going to believe this, but my husband and I both, we saw the clump. And of course, 1 month after, there was no signs of her. We had cleaned up the whole house and everything. And yet that clump of hair was right on my pillow. So, and there are many such stories, not just me, I'm sure many dog lovers have the story of dogs reaching out to them after they've passed away. They're giving a message. And why does this happen? Because there is this real intense, strong bond, like a soul bond between a pet parent and their dog. And they kind of reach out to you in many ways to say that, everything is fine. Don't worry. We are okay. Because like you said, the pain of loss is really strong and very intense. And so we need to move beyond that. And this message really helped me. It helped me to understand that, yeah, Tuggy is fine.
Yes, that's a very, very touching story. And I do believe that, yes, it would have happened. Yes, definitely it would have happened. So we are almost coming to the end of the session. Now we'll invite questions from the audience. Any of the audience members, if you want to ask Manjari ma'am a question, you can unmute and ask the question, or you can even put it in the chat window, or you can even raise your hands. Anybody can come out with your question. So there's one question which has come from an audience member. How about cats as pets?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, keep a pet. See, any animal, animals are spirits in their forms. Okay, if you connect with cats more, sure, go ahead and connect with cats. Like I said, there are cat people and dog people. So if you want a cat as a pet, of course, you'll feel the same bonding and the cat will connect with you at many levels. So yes, why not cats? Of course.
Yes. So you can keep any pet with whom you can feel the connection. So
you can feel the connect with, and you can take full responsibility for it. It's very important. You are going to be responsible for that parent, for that animal, and you need to feel that love flowing, from you to that animal, and that is what is important.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for that input. Anybody else? Yes, Nisha ma'am has a question. Go ahead, ma'am.
Hello, Manjari ma'am. I read 2-3 of your books. I haven't read Dog. Sorry, maybe it's not coming. Your latest book. What is it? Am I audible?
Yeah. Yes, you are.
Yes, you go ahead, ma'am. Go ahead.
What my problem is, I love dogs, but I have this hesitation. And I have 2 daughters, and my elder one is badgering me, has been badgering me for maybe around 2-3 years. She wants a dog. But what I feel, I became a mother late in my life, and I had to take care of them when I was around 39 years old. When I was 39. Since then, I had my first daughter. So now I feel that will I be able to take care of a dog, because a dog is just like a baby. I understand that. I want to give her a dog, but I have this hesitation that I won't be able to take proper care of the dog. I won't be able to give the proper love it requires. So how to overcome that so that my child can have the benefits that she deserves from a pet dog?
How old is she?
She's 10. Elder one is 10 and the younger is 6.
Okay, so the most important thing is you don't have to take care of the dog. If she's insisting on a dog, she has to take care of the dog. Okay, that's that is what you have to do. The dog will learn to associate with the child. So if she wants a dog, then it's her responsibility to make sure that the dog is fed, is taken for a walk, whatever, everything, given a bath. All these responsibilities have to be with the child, and only then will the full benefit of having a dog in a house. You know, if your child is just looking at the dog as a pet, as a toy, and then she or he goes off to do her homework and this, then of course you will have to take care. But that is not the right equation. If whoever's insisting on getting the dog in the house has to look after the dog, and that is how it works.
So maybe I should wait to see if she's responsible enough to take care of the dog.
Yes, you have to tell her, I will bring the dog in, provided you promise me that you will take care of everything except for the doctors, probably where you would have to take charge. But otherwise, she will be completely responsible for the dog. And once she understands this, at least 80 or 60% of the work she'll do, and then 40% will come to you. So you don't have to worry then, because then she's aware that the dog is there only because of her.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
One more thing, I had promised that she need to give me. I have promised her that if she gives me a 5,000 word story, I'll give her the dog. So was that right of me, or how to overcome that now? Was that right of me?
But she has to be completely responsible. I mean, you have to take that in writing from her, because children will say yes, 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 and then the whole thing will come to you, and that is not the ideal situation, for sure.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nisha ma'am, for that question. Now it is time to wrap up this conversation, and it has been a very interesting and insightful conversation, and I'm sure most of us here would have related to all the stories told by ma'am, all the techniques. And I request everybody to go out there and read the book. Ma'am clearly mentions the 9-fold steps to get that spiritual connect with your dog. Don't miss this book. It is available on Amazon. Go out there today and just start reading it.
I'm going to show it to you again.
Yeah, she's showing it again.
This is the indie dog who is there in my lane. His name is Simba. And so this is the pic I took of him when he was a pup. So he's still around, Simba.
How old is he now?
He's 1.5 years old.
1.5. Wow. And I would like to thank Manjari ma'am for sharing all the snippets and insights. It was a wonderful conversation. It was nice talking to you, ma'am. Thanks for coming over to Phoenix Literature Festival, and looking forward to learning and conversing with you more. Thank you so much. Let's give her a big round of applause.
Thank you for inviting me very much. It was a lovely conversation. I enjoyed myself.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. With this, I hand over the stage back to the MC of today's meeting, Ashmit.